Welcome to In Your Business with Dr. Alex, where we get all up in your business and your health. Enjoy live interviews and solo sessions with experts in business and health, featuring your host, Dr. Alex Rosa. Let's get into today's episode.
Excess estrogen. Let's talk about it. That's what today's Healthy Dose of Spice is going to be all about. I said Healthy Dose of Spice. That was my old show. Actually, we're on In Your Business with Alex. That is what today's show is. Whatever. We're live. We're going to go with it. So if you are joining, definitely let me know where in this whole wide world that you are tuning in from. I'd love to give you a shout out and leave your questions. This is interactive. So again, we're going to be talking about estrogen too high. Let's talk about it. You have it. How do you find out about it? What does it mean for you? What you going to do about it? So share this video with a fellow woman if you know this will be helpful for them, or later on if you're catching their play. Pass it along, because we're going to share some really great information here today. And again, any questions, leave in the chat. I'll answer them as I go through. I love teaching. I love interacting. But if it's something a little bit more personal, you can always feel free to send me a message privately and I can get back to you, or I can make another video about it, because more than likely somebody else has a question about it as well. So excess estrogen. Do you have it? So what are some symptoms of excess estrogen? Well, they're going to be a lot of the common ones that women probably deal with. So it's going to be like bloating, mood swings, hot flashes, depending on what stage of life that you're in, just really not feeling like yourself. And I know that's kind of a blanket term, but we're women and our hormones are always going up and down and changing with what we have going on. But high estrogen can show up through those symptoms. So mood swings, breast tenderness can be another one, feeling really bloated, feeling really icky, a lot of those PMS type symptoms. That's high estrogen. But you know, if you actually have high estrogen, or if it's just some hormonal changes that you're going through, well, you're going to want to get some really detailed lab work done. And so in my practice, I run very detailed lab work. I run different types of lab work than most traditional healthcare providers do, because I do functional medicine. So, and then again, I'm looking at lab levels that are optimal. I'm just not looking for high, low, normal, abnormal. I'm looking for optimal ranges for labs. So if you were to go to your healthcare provider and say, you know, I'm wanting to get some lab work done, because I'm always all about being your best advocate, right, for your health, and you're wanting to know specifically about your estrogen levels because you're just not feeling right, then there's 3 types of estrogen levels, estrogen labs that they're going to run on you. 3 different things that we're going to look at. One of them is called estrone. So it's E1. And so this one is primarily produced mostly during menopause and postmenopause. That's where we're going to see these levels. Second one is E2, and this one is estradiol. And this one is the one that we produce the most during our reproductive years. And actually, with this specific hormone, this is the one that they put in the cream that you can use if you're dealing with a lot of vaginal dryness, vaginal irritation during sex. This is the cream that you'll use and you'll rub down there. It has estradiol in it. So this is during our reproductive years, right? Everything's kind of lubed up. This helps with that. So as you are going through perimenopause or into menopause, postmenopause, this helps with a lot of that vaginal dryness. And then estriol, which is E3, which we produce during pregnancy. So running this lab work, we can run it at any stage in your life. And so just depending on what stage of your life, we're going to see those different levels. And so we'll be able to know what's really going on with your estrogen. And this, in combination with some other lab work that you can look at, can really help to determine whether you are producing too much estrogen, or if your body is just not breaking down the estrogen that you produce naturally. And actually, I'm going to do a couple of series of like TikToks really educating just on that. So when you have excess estrogen, it can be either your body's just making too much estrogen or your body's just not breaking down the estrogen that you're producing. And by looking at your labs in a very specific way, practitioners are able to identify which one of these categories, which one of these lanes that you fall into. So if this is kind of like an aha or like, hey, I didn't know that, leave me an emoji, leave me a little comment below so I know you're here. I can say hello to you. Or if you found that insightful, pass it along, let a friend know about it, because so many women don't know this about themselves. So are you making too much estrogen, or are you just not able to break down the estrogen that you have? And so there are some causes to that I'm going to get into of why you could be dealing with this extra estrogen. And again, I can't diagnose, I can't really say specifically which lane that you fall into, again, because I can't do this over a live stream. I would have to be your provider and looking at your lab specifically for you, because everybody's different. And so that's why I'm really laying these two things out so it can, empower you, educate you a little bit more to be more informed about your health and about your lab work and about your results. So some causes of excess estrogen can be hormone therapy, so specifically birth control pills. And once you start to get on birth control pills, you're going to have a skin estrogen naturally as your body starts to kind of adjust. And you actually, and even if you're going on like hormone replacement therapy or anything like that, and I'm not for or against hormone replacement therapy, HRT. Every woman's decision is their own. And if it's something that you've talked with your healthcare provider about and you want to do hormone replacement therapy, then by all means go for it. But if you're somebody who's opting, who does not want that for whatever reason, then don't. And there's ways that we can manage symptoms, help you feel better, get through this transition period of your life easier, without, you just don't have to grin and bear it and think that feeling miserable is a part of your life. It doesn't have to be that way. So hormone replacement therapy, birth control pills, these are going to cause some spikes when you first start in your estrogen levels. But again, if you're monitoring them and working with the healthcare provider, we can look at those and make adjustments as needed. Body fat, let's talk about that. So weight is a huge driver of excess estrogen, and here's why. Because adipose tissue, fat tissue, secretes estrogen. And fat tissue likes to hold on to everything too. It's a really great accumulator of products, and so it will hold on to everything. But adipose tissue, fat tissue, secretes estrogen. So the more fat tissue that you have on you, the more body fat that you have, you are going to secrete more estrogen naturally because of that. So excess body fat will do that as well. Stress. Here's how stress plays into excess estrogen, because excess stress produces cortisol. Cortisol blocks your progesterone. And so when your progesterone is your agonist to your estrogen. So when you're not making enough progesterone because it's being blocked by cortisol, then your estrogen is just going to run wild. It's going to run all over the place, and you're going to have an excess of estrogen because you don't have the progesterone to counteract that because of the cortisol. Everything is connected. That's how I always teach. Everything is always connected in your body. So increased levels of stress, increased levels of cortisol causes decreased levels of progesterone, which allows your estrogen to just go wild. It's going wild, and you will have excess estrogen because of that. Let's talk about your liver. I love talking about liver because your liver does so many amazing things. But if you have issues with your liver, so say you have like fatty liver or your organ health, and I always talk about organ health and end organ damage from medications and supporting our organs naturally, because all of our organs are so important, and especially our liver. And so our liver helps to break down and metabolizes so many things in our body. Estrogen is one of them. So if your liver is damaged from fatty liver, from cirrhosis, from alcohol abuse, from drug toxicity, oh my goodness, I think I talked about this in a video I did not too long ago, but you know, in healthcare, when I was working in cardiac ICU, we could give a person one medication and just destroy their kidneys, destroy their liver, cause acute damage because of the toxicity from drugs, from medications. So if you're a chronic user of some type of medication that's hepatotoxic, right, toxic to your liver, then this can cause that. And so if your liver is not able to function properly, then you're not going to be able to metabolize and break down this estrogen. So you're going to have an excess of estrogen. This also goes to liver damage from high blood pressure, from diabetes. These also play a huge role in how well your liver functions. So supporting your liver naturally to so that it can perform better, so that it can help to metabolize and do all the things that it's supposed to do is so important. It's just so very important to support your liver naturally. And I've done other videos on how to support your organs naturally, but that's just one of them. And then let's talk about fiber. And this is a funny one because this is one that I just got done talking with one of my clients. She just started with me not too long ago, and we had a talk about fiber because she made a comment about how she has, you know, we've just kind of implemented the first phase of her program. So she's eating a lot differently. We're not doing anything crazy like teas or toxins or potions or any of that kind of stuff. I don't believe in any of that. I just believe in using food as medicine and eating a certain way. And so she's been implementing this, and she messaged me like right away and was like, I'm going to the bathroom so much. She's like, I've never pooped this much ever. And fiber is such a huge, is so important, especially if you're dealing with excess estrogen, because if you're constipated, right, you remove excess estrogen through your stool, through pooping. So if you're constipated, you are just holding on to all that estrogen and a whole bunch of other shit that your body does not need. So by having extra fiber in your diet, either through food, right? Food is always best. If you're doing some oral supplementation, you know, that extra fiber will just really help to get things moving and to get everything out of your system, and will help to remove that estrogen for you naturally just by pooping, just by increasing your fiber. So, and I'm going to do a couple little TikToks on that too about that, but that's another huge one. Being constipated is a huge, being constipated leads to excess estrogen because of that, because you're holding on to it, you're not pooping it out. Okay. So what kind of conditions are associated, or what can be made worse, right? Because now we know we got it. Now we know where it's coming from, some sources of it. There's some conditions that can be associated with it that can be made worse because of this excess estrogen in your body. And I'm in no way saying that excess estrogen causes these problems. What I'm saying is that it's associated with them, and that excess estrogen can make these worse. So if you're dealing with breast cancer, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, these can all be exacerbated, right? Made worse by excess estrogen levels in your body. Endometriosis, PCOS, tumor growth on your adrenal glands, on your ovaries. These can all be exacerbated, made worse by excess estrogen. So in the end, really, right, knowing what our estrogen levels are and finding ways to decrease those naturally, that's the name of the game, right? Keeping ourselves healthy to keep those in check. And I know I always say naturally, but you know, if you need to turn to medication, like I said, I'm not against medication. I'm in no way saying people should not take any medications, but there's a time and a place. And I believe in doing everything that you can naturally first before you go that route. And I want to go back again to some causes of excess estrogen and kind of go back to liver. I skipped digestion, digestive enzymes. And I want to talk about that real quickly because this is important to know, and it kind of applies to a lot of other things as well. So how we digest and break food down is so important to our hormone levels in our body, and important to everything that happens in our bodies. But if you have too little digestive enzymes, or if you have any type of disruption in your digestive system, then this can lead to an excess of estrogen because your body's not able to metabolize and break down the estrogen that you have in your body by way of breaking down food that will help to do that for you, and by way of other enzymes and other bacteria that grow in your body, because those have been disrupted by surgical procedures, by trauma that you might have had. So I always ask new clients when I'm working with them, have you had any surgeries on your GI system, on your digestive system? Do you have all your pieces and parts? Or do you have your pancreas? Do you have your gallbladder? Have you had any type of surgery on your intestines? Have you had bariatric surgery? Do you have any acid reflux? Anything like that can cause a disruption in your digestive system, thereby, really impacting how your body breaks down food, metabolizes food, absorbs nutrients, all of that, produces waste. That's all impacted. So a lot of those, like Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, all of that really impacts what happens with the hormones in your body. And if we're speaking about specifically estrogen, like we are in today's video, then estrogen is going to be greatly affected by that. So if you have any type of surgery, are missing any pieces and parts of your colon, if you have a colostomy bag, if you've had bariatric surgery, if you've had any trauma and have had to had some type of rerouting of things, that is all going to impact. So a lot of women struggle with hormonal issues, and nobody ever puts those two pieces together, that you've been through a traumatic event, or you've had some type of surgery, or this might have happened to you with your digestive system. That's going to impact your estrogen levels. And so that's why doing a really thorough assessment and background on when I'm working with a new client is so important, and why, if you're looking for a healthcare provider, they really need to know everything that has happened to you, because everything is connected. It's so connected. So just that little piece about that there. And that also goes with taking any type of supplementation, oral supplementation. And again, why I am a huge advocate for IV hydration supplementation, because there's no digestion required. And there's actually a lot of really great IV supplementation that you can take to help with estrogen, to help with hormonal imbalances as well. And I'll be sure to make some videos about that coming up as well. But that's really all I have to talk about for this excess estrogen today, and kind of getting into it a little bit. So again, if you have any questions, and I saw some people kind of popped through with some questions. Let me see if I can wake up my mouse and scroll over to them. Miss Soren, she says, wow, interesting. Thanks. And Erica, she says she does castor oil packs frequently. Yeah, there's so many things that you can do to naturally support yourself. And again, it's all about blending, right? I'm all about blending East and West together. Like, they can work together, definitely, especially when it comes to healthcare, and always taking that holistic perspective, right, to everybody's health. So just a little bit on that today. So if you are watching, thank you so much for being here with me today. But if you're catching the replay, leave a hashtag replay. And again, you can always reach out to me with any questions. And if excess estrogen is something that you are currently dealing with, and you're not very happy with the way that your health is going, your healthcare provider just is not vibing with you very well, or if you are kind of in the dark about this and want to get more detailed into your health, really elevate your health, then reach out to me. I'm accepting clients, and then I work privately with clients. So all it takes is a message to reach out to me, and we can talk about what's going on with your health and how we can work together. So that is all for today in Your Business with Dr. Alex. And like I always say, for balanced life, just add spice. We'll catch you in the next episode.